Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to all of our fans from across this great country of ours and across the planet.
The globe.
This is another edition of Focus with Ron Frierson. I am your host, Mr. Ron Frierson. Jarvis, could you turn up my microphone a little bit for me, please? Thank you guys for joining us today. We're going to have a fantastic show. There's a lot going on in the world, and it's a pretty scary place right now, and so we're going to speak about these things that affect us.
You're not going to introduce me?
I'm going to, of course I am.
Okay, man. You was about to get into it. I can tell.
No.
The chair started swiveling back and forth.
To my left, I have my brother and co-host, Mr. Woody Wilson. Woody,
hello.
say hi to the people.
Hey, everybody. What's going on? Happy Friday. Happy 4th of July weekend.
Woody can be impatient at times.
Yeah,
but it's okay. It's all right. It's my brother, though. But, so it's customary on this show. What we try to do during the show is that we try to kind of give our audience this will be our version of the news. And so we do is that we take what's going on across the globe and we try to boil it down into snippets that our audience wants to hear. And we try to do it in a way that makes it somewhat entertaining and at the same time informative. And so things that you may not be interested in or may not understand how it affects your daily life, hopefully we show you how everything in this planet and everything that's going on is interconnected.
And do that all in about 50 minutes.
And we try to do it all in 50 minutes, yeah. So all that being said, the first thing I want to talk about, which is my rant, for our new viewers, I like to start with my own little rant, something that just kind of stands at the top of my mind and on the top of my list. And what I want to talk about today on my opening rant is what the hell is Bill Clinton thinking?
Bill Clinton?
Bill Clinton. This is why. Earlier this week, I think it's a couple of days ago, it may have happened earlier, but anyway, it was reported a couple of days ago that on a flight at an airport, Bill Clinton happened to know that the Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, was in the area, and so he sought her out to speak with her. Now, under ordinary circumstances, that's perfectly fine. You know, a former president going to speak to an attorney general and things of that sort, and this perfectly fine. What makes this an issue is the simple fact that right now the Justice Department has an ongoing investigation into Hillary Clinton and the whole email server situation and things of that sort. So this is the absolute worst time for something like that to happen.
Exactly.
So we have the husband of the presidential candidate, and one of the major negatives on her is trustworthiness, honesty, these things that the right have been saying about the Clintons for years, to the point where almost everybody almost assumes that she's dishonest of some sort. Her truthfulness and trustworthy numbers are in the toilet for the most part. And I've always said that the best thing she has going for her is the fact that Donald Trump is on the other side of the ticket.
Right.
But all of that being said, for your husband to go and talk to the person, to the attorney general, and trustworthy, is the wrong thing to do.
Yeah,
it's silly. I mean, why would you do that? Why would you give the right and all the conspiracy theorists that type of fodder and give them that fuel? So now if Hillary Clinton is exonerated completely, they're going to say that was some deal being struck because Bill Clinton went and spoke to the attorney general. There's nothing good that can come from that.
No, there's not. I wonder what she was thinking about. What was Loretta Lynch thinking
Well,
about?
it's to her, giving her the benefit of the doubt. Of course, she has an excellent record, and her truthfulness and her integrity has never been questioned. And it's
Until
also
now.
very difficult to say no. I don't want to see you to a former president of the United States. If he comes up to you, what do you say? No, I'm not talking to you. Here's the hand. Go the other way. I'm sure that looking back on it, she probably wish she had found some artful way to rebuff the invitation
Right.
or rebuff the advance when he came to try to speak with her for professional reasons. But it happened. And so now the integrity of her office is at question by the right and the people that already were against Hillary. I know the Hillary camp has to be so pissed at Bill for putting them in that situation where they have to try to see how they're going to do damage control.
Do you think Hillary knew?
I doubt it. I think that Hillary, I think that sometimes what Bill Clinton does, Bill Clinton has he's an artful politician, but he has a bigger than life ego. And I think that this is just one of those times where he just didn't think in a calculated manner about what's best for his wife during the campaign.
Right.
I think he was just thinking like, I'm Bill Clinton, and that's what I hope. I hope he doesn't feel, because from what I understand, there was nothing said that was off color or something that was inappropriate in regards to the case and things like that. But the entire thing is just like, why would you do that? And this stuff like this that could result in Donald Trump going to the White House. If they keep knocking her down and she offers them on a silver platter more of a reason for them to distrust her or to think that she's not an honest candidate, and then Trump he's saying some stuff that resonates with a lot of people. He was in
the
Pennsylvania.
polls show them closer now.
Very close. So Trump has said he's offended just about every ethnicity at some point in time. He's offended Muslims. He's offended Latin Americans. He's said some of the most wild and outlandish things ever, and he's still within single digits of Hillary at this point.
I mean, that's what the polls say, and the polls could be rigged. I mean, I don't really trust those polls, but back to Clinton and Loretta's impromptu meeting, and I think she knew it was coming up. He knew, that you have the handlers reach out and try to contact them prior to the meeting. Loretta's, but I don't know. To me, it doesn't affect my vote for Hillary Clinton. I just want this to be behind us. It keeps being dragged across, every political stage.
The people that are for
is.
Hillary, they're going to be for
But
Hillary.
I really don't think people are on the fence as far as Hillary and Trump are
I
concerned.
actually think that there are. Let me tell you why. It's because some people are just holding on to Hillary because they think Trump is crazy, not because they like Hillary. It's more that it's a lesser of two evils in that regard.
Yeah.
So it says something to me, and I do believe these polls, and they've been tried and true in regards to the stuff that President Obama went by when he was leading the polls. He was leading the polls.
Right.
Now, if it's a Fox News poll, I
something else,
agree with
right.
you. But the simple fact that as outlandish as Trump's candidacy has been, he's still within single digits. And both of these two are two of the least liked politicians to run for this office in modern history.
Yeah.
So all
That's
that
for
being
sure.
said, the fact that she keeps adding fuel to the fire, you know what to expect with Donald Trump. You know he's going to say, it's like one of those situations where, it's
not like it's one-sided, though. I mean, Donald Trump is adding fuel to his fire as well.
No, but that's the thing. I think Donald Trump's his bar is so low. Donald's been doing
True,
Donald.
True.
So that means that Donald can't go any lower. He said stuff about the Pope.
Right.
He said, my African American. He said, we're going to ban Muslims. He said stuff
About women.
And about women that any other presidential politician would be out of
the
here.
door, yeah.
So he's already set his bar so low that nothing that comes from him will be a surprise and nothing sticks to him. On the other hand, Hillary, if she keeps going this route and Bill makes some little bonehead move like he did, she can actually come down.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, and that's the issue. And so I know that they probably had a nice little argument when he finally got home, where she gave him a call and gave him a piece of her mind, and rightfully so. He should have thought better than that.
You know, I don't know, and she could have been in cahoots with the whole thing. But the FBI has to come down with the ruling on this situation, right?
Yeah.
So that's got to happen shortly, and hopefully it does very soon, so we can get this all behind us.
So if what you just said is true, that she's in cahoots with the whole thing, that would be even worse.
Yeah, we wouldn't know though. That would be some pillow talk right there. But you know, hopefully she was.
But still, that would be even worse if somebody. And that's the thing.
And that may, first of all, he can't influence her either way. Loretta Lynch. I mean, Bill Clinton can't walk into that meeting and convince her not to do one thing or another. But what he can do is find out where the investigation is going, and maybe have another meeting with someone else that can influence it. I don't know what his purpose was for the meeting.
I don't really think it's as much of him influencing her. I think it's just maybe him just maybe testing the water to try to see what's out there, to kind of see
figure
where
out
the wind, see where the wind is blowing,
right.
And it could have just been subtle things that he, even if it's timing as when a judgment was going to come in or something like that, you just don't know. But it's just a bad look, and he shouldn't have done it. And I don't know what he was thinking about. And it's nothing they can do in a vacuum. It's in the airport on a tarmac. He's a former president who loves the limelight, so the limelight is going to follow him wherever he goes. Yeah. And he goes on the Attorney General's plane to speak with her for a half hour. It's not like he said hi and bye, talk
How the kids doing?
They spoke for a half hour. It's just not good, and I don't like it. Not because we have a call that came through already.
Yeah.
Okay, let me have the caller call him. Caller, hi, this is Ron Frierson. Thank you for calling in. Could you give me your name and the city you're calling in from?
My name is Ben. I'm calling from London.
Hey,
Ben, how are you?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for calling in as well. Tell me what you have to say from the UK. And I know you're going to comment on what we are speaking about now, but before we get off the line, I'm going to have to ask you about Brexit and how it's affecting you guys over there. So please tell me what you want to say.
It's partly why I'm calling.
Okay.
There's something which I think people need to brace themselves for with this Donald Trump. Like you were saying, there's nothing that he could possibly do that's going to shock anyone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can't entirely believe everything he says. You can't entirely disbelieve everything he says. And you're kind of left with the impression that he doesn't really believe 90% of what he says.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, this is something which occurred to me after Brexit. The Brexit fiasco occurred largely because the current Prime Minister tapped into a portion of the electorate that never votes.
Mm-hmm.
And he got them to vote for him in this last general election by telling them that they would have a referendum on Europe. Okay?
I see.
Now, he didn't expect it to go the way that it did. I don't think anyone really did. Even the diehard Leave campaigners didn't believe that this would happen. But it did. Mm-hmm. And there's something just to bear and just to think about in terms of Trump, which is that it's easy to jump on the bandwagon of, the guy's a half-cut moron and he had $1 million loan. He's not very smart. He's a bit of an idiot, etc. Right. I don't think that someone is where he is by being completely foolish.
I completely agree.
with that.
And he's cunning, and he's actually very he's savvy, and he can read the pulse of an audience, and that's why he can whip into a frenzy the way he does. So that's a very good point. So tell me this.
As a politician, which he's never been before, he's going to be under far more scrutiny than he's ever been before.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And there's something to bear in mind. This is to get to where I'm going here, which is that there is a chance, and I wouldn't be entirely surprised if he is saying anything at this stage that he needs to say to get the portion of the electorate who never normally comes out to vote vote for him.
Right.
And that could swing it for him.
Yeah.
But once he is the president, he barely has the backing of the Republican Party in the Republican Party's current form.
Mm-hmm.
But he knows that no politician has ever been voted in based on anything that they've said, truthful or otherwise. Does that make sense? In other words, the world of politics at this point is so murky that at the end of the day, no one's going to go, that guy's telling me the truth.
Right.
With the possible exception of someone like Bernie Sanders.
So you're saying that the cynicism has gotten into our pores, so to speak, and so we kind of bake it into the cake, and so we automatically assume that they're lying to us, and we give them a pass.
Right, and I think they
which is absolutely look, think about it. You've got two front runners at the moment for the presidency. One of them is currently under investigation by the FBI.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The other one has been a mobbed up businessman whose businesses have done, some of them have done well, some of them have failed, but he's never been not marred with controversy.
Right.
Yeah.
And these are the two that it's been narrowed down to. Okay. Something's desperately wrong in the mind of the electorate if this is what you're prepared. And I can't sit here all smugly in the UK, given the fiasco that I'm now sitting amongst. But please don't think I'm yank bashing here.
I understand. I understand. So Ben, a quick question for you before we let you go, because we're limited on time. But a quick question here: what's next? Now, do you think that this Brexit is going to hold, or is there some other sort of process measure that needs to take place for them to ratify that? What's next? Do you think it's actually going to hold where it is, or is there a chance this could be reversed?
There's more than one process that needs to go ahead. First of all, the referendum is not legally binding. It's not constitutionally legally binding.
Okay.
The Parliament needs to approve it, and at this stage, there are a bunch of different things which could derail it. For one thing, no one anticipated that half of the UK, two of the countries of the British Isles, in any case, England and Wales voted one way. Northern Ireland and Scotland voted another way. Right. And they have their own countries to think about. Scotland, despite being a part of the United Kingdom, is its own country.
Exactly.
And the pickle that they now find themselves in is they voted not to have independence in 2014. Now they're in a situation where, in order to stay in Europe, they're going to have to be independent of the UK.
Exactly.
But sorry, to something that I just didn't mention, which is what I was trying to get to on Trump. I would not be staggered if he does everything he says, whatever he needs to do at this stage to be
get elected. Yeah.
And come the time that, should he become president, I think he is going to stun the world. I think he
in a positive or negative way.
In a positive way. I think he may stagger his critics. I think that there is a very, very good chance that he's not building a wall between America and Mexico. I mean, for crying out loud, I've never heard anything so preposterous.
Right.
That simply cannot happen. He's not going to ban people from coming to the United States purely on the basis of their religion. He's backtracked on everything he said the minute it seemed to be too far. The minute he realizes he's gone too far, which may be a couple of weeks after everyone else realizes it, he'll pull it back. But he doesn't care, and it doesn't seem to affect his numbers.
That's true. That's
wrong,
very
but
true.
From where I am, it doesn't seem to be affecting anything, and I wouldn't be surprised if, should he become president. First of all, if it's a choice between,
let's hope that doesn't happen.
I'd say go for Trump.
Yeah,
because and you know why? And he said a lot of things which make me disgusted.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is like, I didn't vote for Brexit. I voted Remain. But the fact that we've got the result doesn't really bother me that much. If anything, I'm kind of excited because what we're going to have now is a phenomenal shake-up of our political system.
Absolutely.
We'll keep close eye on that.
Ben,
thanks for calling in,
Thank you
Ben.
so much for calling in. We're out of time, but and thank
Call
you
us
so
again
much
sometime.
for listening. It's really, it's really flattering that you would take the time to listen to us, given the time difference and things of that sort. So please continue to listen and call in anytime. Okay.
Thanks, Ben.
Will do.
All right.
Keep doing what you're doing. Please do.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Good night. Enjoy the weekend.
Hey, Ben hit some great points, and that was fantastic on that. And he did. I think that.
So there's still some time left before the Brexit becomes official policy.
So there's a chance,
it.
according to what he was telling me. And I like the fact that we have someone that's on the ground there, that's experiencing it in real time and firsthand, as opposed to it coming through to us through a filter of our media. And
I hope he keeps us up to date on that.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Call us back sometime, Ben.
Yeah. So, but he did reiterate my point, and that point is that Trump could actually win this thing.
Yeah, no, he could. And
And Hillary's helping him. She's helping.
And she's
him right
helping
now.
it. She's helping his case out a little bit, and I just don't think that he can run the country. He doesn't stand for anything that you could hang your hat on. There's no solid foundation.
Yeah.
He flip flops. He's wishy washy, and he's just doing whatever he can right now, saying whatever he can to get elected. So I really don't think he's our guy.
So what we should do is this. What we should do is, and I'm sure that Hillary's team has already made these steps. Have one of her top advisors with Bill Clinton at all times to be sure that he doesn't go.
Hold him down.
Be sure he doesn't go rogue.
I don't think he'll do that again.
Well,
sure
he won't
they had
do
a
that
conversation.
specific thing again, but that won't keep him from doing something else. So he needs to make sure that he's on message. So, and she needs to make sure she knows what he's doing on his schedule and every little thing, because he can't allow for these political missteps. For someone who is so savvy and calculating politically, he's been making some rookie mistakes.
But
lately.
the fallback is on Loretta Lynch. It's not on. He's not running for office.
No, the fallback.
But she's getting all the
see,
fallback. Fox News. Have you seen Fox News? They're trying to hang
The reason
her.
why they're doing that is because of
She was elected by President Obama.
No. It's all going to come back to Hillary. What they're going to do is that they're going to try to discredit her, because if this comes back where there's no indictment of any sort and no charges against Hillary, they want to be able to say it's because Loretta Lynch was in office and somehow she was tainted by the Clintons, and she had a secret meeting with Bill Clinton. So now it's to a point that all of the conspiracy theorists will have something to go on. They say, okay, what did they discuss for a half hour?
Right.
It doesn't take a half hour to talk about grandchildren. So what did they discuss? And now Hillary's being exonerated of any charges that have to do with these emails and service.
Perhaps.
That's what they're going to do. It's no perhaps with them. Now, whether or not it's the case is perhaps, but whether or not that's what they're going to accuse her of.
Perhaps she'll be exonerated. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, perhaps she'll be exonerated. But if she is, I guarantee you, they will use that, because they will. Anything Hillary does that they can use as ammunition against her, especially in this presidential election, they are going to do it. And maybe it's not even for Trump. Maybe it's down ticket. Maybe they think that they can somehow parlay this into more votes for the Senate or more votes for the House so they can retain control of the Congress. I don't know. But the point is that they will definitely use this. And it's just too bad it went that way. So let's go to another topic now. And the other topic I want to talk about is all this craziness going on in the world.
Bangladesh
today in Dhaka. In Dhaka, Bangladesh, is an affluent suburb. And it's the holy month of Ramadan until the end of the month. And normally people that are observant, they may fast from food, maybe food and drink, but definitely sun up to sundown. But after sundown, there's a feast. So after sundown, when everyone gets together, and they were in Bangladesh.
And this is the Muslim religion.
That's Islam, yeah.
Islam.
And so in Bangladesh, there was a terrorist attack, and they've taken hostages, and ISIS has claimed responsibility for this. And I think it's still underway. I think they have maybe 40 plus hostages, maybe 2 or 3 people, including some police officers.
Going on.
Yeah, as far as I know, before we started the show, it was still going on. I don't know what's happening in real time at this point, but
and this is so here we have some extremists who claim to be Muslims who are killing people in the name of whatever their cause is, because it's so convoluted, and who are killing their own people in the holy month of Ramadan, and that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, of course, it never has made any sense in terms of, but they've hijacked the Muslim religion, Islam. They've hijacked Islam and have made it a negative connotation, or given it a negative connotation, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a strain within Islam that needs to handle this extremism.
They have to do something.
But the targets, you think about, their targets aren't poor Bangladeshis. Their targets, this area was a pretty affluent area. And I think that poverty plays a part in it too. Let me tell you why. Bangladesh is one of the most, one of the stark difference between the haves and the have-nots. So you have people there with a lot of money, and you have like abject poverty, similar to what you'll find in India and other parts of the world, and what we're kind of going to in this country as well. So you have, and when you have that type of abject poverty, and you have people, because they're dealing with these things, it's easier to radicalize them.
Yeah.
Because lots of times, when you're in a hopeless situation, and this is nothing against religion, because I'm a pastor's son, but lots of times they cling more heavily to religion, and then because of the circumstances and things of that sort, they are some of these young men there they have the angst of a young man, the aggression of a young man, mix that with a radical ideology, and the fact that they feel like it's okay for me to kill other people and to even kill myself.
It's like a gang. It's like a gang. You find
crazy.
someone who shows you love, shows you affection,
so the area that they targeted this time was a restaurant, a cafe or restaurant in an affluent area of town. Okay, it looks like we have another caller coming in. Caller, could you please, first off, thank you for calling in, and could you please tell me your name and the city you're calling in from?
Sean, Freeland, Michigan.
Sean in Freeland, Michigan, my home state. Sean, thank you for calling in.
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing, Sean? What's on your mind today?
Is this Sean Pruitt?
Yep, this is him.
Yeah. What's up, big brother? How are you?
Good, blood. Good.
Good.
What's on my mind is when you're talking about, I don't know if you're still talking about Bangladesh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when you talk about the countries that have like stark difference between rich and the poor, that this is all from market fundamentalism.
Mm-hmm.
And with the fall of Russia, there's no incentive for capital to equalize. Like after World War II, you had heavy-handed government intervention, like the GI Bill and stuff like that, to appease the worker, to say, hey, you're going to get your fair share here because you don't have to do socialism because we'll give you your fair share here. Mm-hmm. But after socialism failed, then there was no incentive. So since then, productivity's gone up, but incomes haven't gone up. Mm-hmm. Now, Gallup does this poll, 200 countries, every year. Okay, and every year the number one thing people want all over the world is, they want riches, or they want their family, or they want to be happy. Mm-hmm. Well, the last time he did the poll for the first time, the number one thing that people wanted all over the world was a job.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this globalization and the pressure of the funnel to the 63, which is getting tighter.
Yeah.
But when Obama first got in, it was like 200 and some people had half the world's wealth. Now it's down to 63. So these cultures, people don't know the details of it, but they do know they feel no pressure. Mm-hmm. And it's, they clinging to their religion. That's why you're getting this, radicalism of that.
Right.
But it's really about, wealth.
Right.
I'm with you, Sean.
Thanks for calling, Sean.
Sean, thank you so much for calling. Thank you so much for calling, and thank you so much for listening. Please continue and call in anytime.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, proud of you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Enjoy your weekend now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some interesting points he made, especially with those Gallup poll results with jobs, and that's plays into what you were talking about with poverty. Is there's no income equality. Mm-hmm. The separation is so wide between the rich and the poor, the haves and the have-nots. So it's easy to find a young man on the streets who's starving, who can't feed his family, or his family can't feed him, to radicalize him. Like I said, it's like a gang.
What's the movie?
South Central or something.
The movie with George Clooney, Syriana.
I haven't seen
Remember that movie with Syriana?
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Where it kind of showed George Clooney played a CIA operative. And it's a fragmented story, but it's all the way it's staged is pretty impressive. But one of the younger characters was actually radicalized, and it showed the process of him being radicalized. Uh-huh. And a lot of it goes along, his poverty, religion, him wanting something better for his family, him wanting to believe and be part of something, and things
like that.
And here
it comes along.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
I think Islam needs to do something to fight this terrorism.
I think the world as a whole needs to do something, but I think that you are absolutely correct when you say that. I think the first step of it would be for Islam
The
to
leaders
make
of Islam.
a more active role in squashing this within their ranks. The imams in the mosques, if they can see certain elements developing within some subset within their mosque, if family members and things of that sort need to come out. But I think it's definitely beholden upon themselves to really take the first step in completely squashing this.
They have to lead the world down that path. I mean, it's a ground effort. It's going into the neighborhoods of the poor kids.
Yeah.
And
I understand
really
that Saudi
affecting change.
Arabia is like ground zero for radicalization. The Wahhabi,
And they're our allies, so I'm not sure how that works.
I think that part of it is probably like, I mean, you may have in Saudi, you may have in that kingdom, you may have, some of these princes, maybe 3,000 princes or whatever, but some of them live a very, strict Islamic life when they're in the kingdom. But then once they get over here, they do all the sort of debauchery and do anything they want to do. But then
it's like a kid in Catholic high school.
They subjugate those people that live in those places to some sort of standard that they're not living up to themselves in regards to the religious piety and things of that sort, and they can see the hypocrisy, and that may have something to do with it. I'm not sure exactly what the answer is, but there has to be an answer because the way things are going, and then we'd be remiss if we don't bring up what happened at Ataturk Airport in Istanbul in Turkey, and that was absolutely terrible. And I think one of those, it was 3 terrorists that attacked the airport
at
in
the
Turkey.
airport, right?
Suicide bombers, all 3 of them.
One of the world's busiest airports.
Absolutely.
So the one guy was shot. I guess the security guy saw a guy approaching with an AK-47, and so the security guy hid in the corner. As he approached, he shot him. He fell on the ground, and he could tell he was trying to pull a ripcord or something because he had on a vest to explode. And I just wonder why. I don't know how these guys are trained, but I mean, clearly he was 3 feet away from the guy. A headshot would have stopped all of the progress in terms of trying to explode that vest and kill more people. And if you watch the news, there was plenty of time in between, the time he shot him, approached him, figured out what he was trying to accomplish, and then started running himself. I'm not sure. I think that space, that gap in training needs to be addressed.
Yeah, and then we're also talking about airport police. We're not talking about SWAT people because this all happens.
That's
so
true.
at the
But
same
have
time,
to
and we're
address
even here at LAX, we see airport police, but they're not, LA's best. They're capable, perfectly capable, no disrespect. But it's not like they're the the Navy SEALs or anything like that. And so, and when you're in that situation where you see a guy fumbling for the button and you don't know when he's going to hit the button, are you conscious enough to do that? So yeah, but I mean, unless we're in that situation,
well, they're trained for that.
Well, that's the thing. If there were some high level security force, then maybe. But an airport policeman, you don't know. Maybe, maybe not. You just don't know.
Yeah.
And so I can't really fault him on seeing that a dude is fumbling for a button and for him to try to go through and find or just run.
Yeah.
I can't fault him for that because we don't know what his
No, I'm not
training
faulting him. I'm just saying that needs to be. If I was a security person, I would address that.
Yeah.
And that's just something that I saw.
None of those 3 suicide bombers were from Turkey, actually. I think one was from Kyrgyzstan, one was from Russia, and one was from another place within the Middle East. And it wasn't Syria, I don't think. And it kind of brings up another question in regards to ISIS's reach.
And they haven't claimed it yet, ISIS, right?
Which
because
is interesting.
Of the political,
which is interesting.
Turkey's kind of
I wonder why do you think that ISIS hasn't claimed that, but at the same time they've claimed the.
I'll tell you after this caller.
Okay, we got another caller coming in. Caller, could you thank you for calling in, caller. Could you give me your name and the city you're calling in from, please?
Yes, my name is John Anderson, and I'm calling from Los Angeles, California.
Hey, John, how are you?
Henderson,
Thanks for calling.
I'm doing great. How you guys doing today?
Doing
Fantastic.
pretty well. Thank you for calling in. What do you have to add to this conversation, sir?
Oh, it's been a pleasure. It's my pleasure. It's been a minute, Ron. I've been to the gym, but I know you're holding it down for me.
Of course.
And it's a pleasure to talk to Mr. Clean and Dapper.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yes, he is.
You.
Yes, he is.
What's on your mind today, John?
One day when I grow up, I can go up there and pick up a nice sports coat.
I'm sure you're grown enough.
Yeah, we'll hook you up. So tell me what's on your mind today, John?
Well, what's on my mind today is, I'm all about the entertainment business. I was at a studio for 18 years. I won't go into that name of that studio due to confidentiality situations, but I want to talk about Shira Boone Isaac, who is an African-American woman, and she's the president of the Motion Picture Arts and Sciences division of the MPAA. And they just did a study where, we had the whole Oscar So White campaign, during the whole Oscar build-up.
John, John, hold on a second. We're talking about ISIS, right? We're talking about international terrorism. Man, you all entertained. You calling in the wrong show, my brother. Did you take a nap or something and just woke up a week?
You calling to the right show, just the wrong subject.
You before I get off the phone with you right now, you had better say something about terrorism and how it's bad or something. So you got to say something. Or I'm gonna clown you the next time I see you. So you got to say something. Tell me something.
Okay, my take on ISIS is this. Unfortunately, we are not going to be able to basically check every individual that comes from another country to see if A, they are a terrorist, or B, they have terrorist connections.
Okay.
I think that's virtually impossible. Because
John, that's good.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, my brother. And I want you to call in next time.
Yes.
And I want you to listen to the show so you know what we're talking about.
But thanks
I
for
can't
calling,
wait
John,
until
man.
I see you
Appreciate
again.
you.
I can't wait until I see you. I'm going to clown you so
I
bad.
look forward to meeting you, John.
Yeah. But thank
I'm at work. I had to call you in, man, and I'm entertaining, man. That's all I do.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you
man.
so much.
Enjoy
Good
the
to hear
weekend,
from
John.
You. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Enjoy
you
the
guys
4th.
have a safe 4th. Be good.
Right,
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You. Yeah.
I
John called.
thought he was going to
2
get to
weeks too
something.
late.
I was waiting for him to.
When he said the Oscars, I was like, maybe
Yeah.
he saw the movie with George Clooney. Maybe
Something. I don't know.
that could be it. I'm
But,
not sure. But yeah, John, I'm going to get you when I see you.
We'll talk about Boone Isaacs.
We'll talk about that some other time. But yeah, so this entire thing in regards to ISIS and their influence, the fact that they are claiming things that they may not have planned operationally, but they were actually inspiring others to do this type of work, and they put their stamp on it once they feel it reaches a certain level of carnage or a certain level of importance where it can strike fear into the victims. That's something right there. That's a different type of warfare, because you can fight people in the battlefield that wear a different uniform, but it's very difficult to fight an ideology or an idea. And that's something that's going to segue into something else. Yeah. That's something we need to really take into account, because I know we spoke about this before, Woody, and I want to hear what you got to say about this.
Okay.
I actually think that our drones help this. Today, the president
helped what?
Our drones help their efforts. This is why.
ISIS's efforts?
Yeah, in radicalization. Now President Obama, which is good, he has mandated that the military have to come forward, military and intelligence has to come forward and disclose the number of civilians, innocent bystanders, that are killed during drone attacks.
It was 116.
106. They said up to 116, which I think is probably low, because think about it.
It's war. We're at war.
Yeah, but still, I mean,
compared to other wars, that's minuscule.
Yeah, but this
I'm not saying, look, it's horrible. It's a tragedy.
Exactly. That's the key. It's horrible. It's attractive. But this is the deal. When we have, of those 116, let's just think if you are just a regular kid and you're living in, and they kill
my family, I'd be radicalized.
Exactly.
I'd be so angry.
And this
at the United
happens
States.
all the time.
Yeah.
This happens all the time. We are having situations where we are going to have a whole generation of orphans and young people that just hate us and don't even know why they hate us. And it's not because of anything political. It's because they know that we are the ones that killed their mom or killed their dad or killed their older brother or killed their sister or killed their grandma.
But that's also happening in the reverse as well, because there's kids born today whose families were victimized by radical Islam in the World Trade Center, for example, and they're hating Islam, or they hating Muslims, and they don't understand. So it's happening on both sides, and we're creating this.
But the odds of a kid that was affected by 9/11 growing up and becoming a suicide bomber,
or Orlando.
Yeah, but listen, but the odds of a kid that grew up in 9/11 and lost a parent or loved one in that tragedy, then turning around and becoming a suicide bomber is slim to none.
Or just,
but on the other, because so there's no real equivalent.
He doesn't have to be a suicide bomber. He can just hate Muslims or.
Well, that's the thing.
Those
In our country, it's okay
like
to hate,
Muslims.
but it's people in
And
our country.
maybe do something to harm one or a group.
Well, like I said, in our country, it's okay. It's okay to hate. In our country, it's probably the safest place to hate. And hate should not be there, but you could hate. But in our country, usually the way it's built is that the way it's supposed to be is that your hate comes out in your speech, not in or you sending some tweet that sounds stupid, but not with you strapping a bomb to your chest and going and running into a restaurant. That's the difference between our hate and the hate of someone that's been radicalized.
Yeah, but I think the common denominator here, I think we keep touching back on poverty and reaching these kids who are going to these radical, these folks that are radicalizing them, and reaching out to them and offering things they don't have, and giving them a belonging, a place of belonging, and fighting for a cause that is totally misdirected. So I think the nation, I think. The leaders of Islam have to reach back in and affect these folks from the grassroots level. I mean, they have to talk to these kids. They have to be present in their lives and preach love. I'm not too sure that just flying over C-130s with a stack of pamphlets and dropping them off in neighborhoods
we have another call
positive
coming in.
messages would not be the right
Listen,
approach.
we have another caller coming in. Call, I hope you've been listening to the show and you have something to speak on that's relevant to the topic we're discussing. But thank you for calling in. Could I have your name and the city you're calling in from?
Eric Davis. I'm calling from Saginaw, Michigan.
Ed Davis, Saginaw, Michigan.
How
That's
you doing,
home.
Eric?
How you doing, Ed?
Yeah.
Is it Ed or
Pretty good,
Eric?
Ron. How you doing?
Oh,
I'm doing Eric
okay.
Davis. Eric Davis.
Okay. How you doing, Eric?
Yeah, and he's got a son that's a hooper too.
Good.
What's on your mind?
Yeah, tell us about it.
Well, I've just been really listening and to a lot that's been going on about where we're at right now as a country with a lot of this new hatred that's going on in new style. So I want to know, what do you guys think as far as how you came up as far as the differences, what you saw then and what you see now?
Well, I'm just glad they're not hating black folks like that. But what I see now is explain your question a little bit before in terms of what we see now. In terms of what?
I mean, growing up in Saginaw, we were a divided city. You had a river that run through the middle of the city, the eastern side and the west side. There was a lot of, I guess, hidden racism and prejudice and bigotry, and you saw it in certain situations. It was very easy to overlook it and just keep on. Whereas to now, being older, is very visible, and in some instances, it's just blatant. And it's like they look at you, do it, and like do something about it or say something.
Well, do you think it's more prevalent now than it was years ago, or less prevalent?
It's more prevalent from a standpoint that they doing it in a different way.
Yeah.
There's from the standpoint, you have a lot of it in the police force and in the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
And when it comes to good paying jobs and places that is really you can oppress.
Yeah, well, I think technology has a lot to do with it. I mean, video cameras on every phone now have exposed it. I don't know if it's more prevalent or less because we don't have the proof that we do today. But as far as job security is concerned, for those folks who are stuck in poverty, I think there is a gap there in terms of the opportunities that exist. But I can't have a scale in terms of it's more or less.
Yeah, Eric, here's
more awareness though.
Yeah. Eric, here's my take on it, and it's something that I think about constantly. We both cut from the same cloth, and I'm South Side Saginaw, and I think that what it is that there's a lot of market forces, and there's a deep, rich history in Saginaw of this type of segregation or division, for lack of a better word. But there has been efforts to try to blend it, and then there's at the same time there's also things that come along with it's a perfect storm. You have the decimation of manufacturing and what that was. when and you have also the school system going down and things like that. And so, especially in a small community where there's limited opportunities, people are going to scramble for those opportunities. So those few people that have those types of positions wherein they think that they can kind of get to a certain level in life, they're really hesitant about giving those up. So it's almost like they want to hold on to what they have, and anybody else that encroaches on that, then they want to protect what they already have. And so their willingness to let someone else in the door is kind of limited. So what I've always said, this is for Saginaw.
We're talking crabs in the barrel?
I've always said this. And Woody came back to Saginaw for a back-to-school event that I hosted a couple years back. I think, in my opinion, and I'm giving this a lot of thought, and my city is going to learn some things that I want to do at some point in the near future. I think that we should have a major push in upgrading the education system in Saginaw, of the public school system especially, and on the east side. I think that once it may not be the best for you and I in our generation, but our kids and grandkids coming up, they can see a much different Saginaw than what we see if we put these resources in the right direction, because there's only going to be so many Ed Davis Jr.'s or so many Draymond Greens or so many JRs. It's not going to be that many of them. The vast majority of us are going to have to come up in a situation where we live in the real world, and we have to be educated, and we have to have a focus on education. We have to, or else we're going to fall by the wayside, and we'll be forever stuck in that rut where we're waiting for someone to give us a job. Because along with that education, and then people like you and I are people that have been educated and have moved elsewhere, then maybe we'll see opportunities where we can come back home and better the community. And then within a generation, I think we can actually turn it around. If LA was the size of, if Saginaw was the size of LA, we have problems for years, because it's just so big that it'd be hard to turn around. But because Saginaw is the size it is, I think that we can make changes a lot quicker, because we don't have that many people we need to change. We need to change mindsets. We need to change a lot of stuff about that. But that's a whole different show, my brother. I'm so glad you called in. And Eric, I'm so glad that you took the time to listen to the show. Continue to please continue to do so, and have other people at home do so, and just stay in contact.
Enjoy the 4th of July.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Yeah, definitely will, man. I'll keep. Thanks for posting that, and you guys, spreading this kind of message out, and it is very uplifting that these topics are being discussed. Mm-hmm. It's not that you're blaming or pointing the finger. It's just some things. Hey, let's start some discussion, and that's where things have to start.
That's right.
Thank you,
that's right. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Have a good one.
Have a good one, guys.
You too. God bless.
That's the homie right there. Before we get, because we run out of time here, I have to throw a shout out to our sponsor, our great primary sponsors, Javago Watches. Say it one more time, Woody. Javago Watches, fine timepieces, fine elegant timepieces in men's and women's fashions. Go to www.javagowatches.com. They have a great assortment of them. I know we show a few of them on our screens, but go through the website. They have maybe close to 100 different styles. Elegant, fine timepieces in men's and women's styles that will make great gifts. And go to the website, check it out. Also, if you can find the style that you like, you can go to Amazon.com and look it up and get it at a discount. Okay,
that's hot.
So thank you again. And I think how much time do we have, Jarvis?
5 minutes.
Oh, we got 5 minutes, which is good. This is good, because I think we have time for Word to Your Mother. We got time for Word to Your Mother? Let's do it. Word to your mother.
Word to your mother.
Let's do it.
Word to your mother. Yes, word to your mother. This is going to take us into the holiday weekend, man. Get some of that barbecue. Okay, listen, for all of you who have been watching the show, you know exactly what Word to Your Mother is. Word to Your Mother is a series of 5 questions, or 5 words that I'll pose to Mr. Ron here, and he's going to give us the definition of the words, okay? So these are words that we're going to surprise him with, and he has to spell them and give the definition, right? Or do you want me to spell them? You spell it.
I'll
spell it because you may not know what the word is. Florid. Florid. Florid.
FORD. That's
Yes.
like a red complexion, like florid, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's like a
Excessively ornamentative is the definition that I have. It doesn't have a color assigned to it, but it's
florid.
elaborately or excessively.
Not fluoride. Florid.
Ornamented.
FLORID.
Yes.
That's like a complexion, like a florid complexion.
Man, you're like right there in the gray area. You're right there in the gray area.
Hey, Jarvis, be the
tiebreaker,
Jarvis. Look.
Word to your mother.
All right, we give it
you.
to you. Word to your mother.
I don't think Woody know. You choose these words and you don't even know what they mean.
Man, you know what? I'm gonna spell it for you. Then you tell me what it is.
Okay.
All right. Next word. OSTEN. TATIOUS.
Ostentatious.
Ostentatiously chill.
Yes, people trying to be noticed. It's like
yeah.
That's what that means.
Trying to attract attention.
Impress. People trying to be noticed.
Yeah. What song was that? Ostentatiously chill. Was that
I've been accused of being ostentatious in my life, and I'm not.
Oh, y'all don't know? Okay. All right. QUERULOUS. QUERULOUS.
I know what that means.
Yeah.
It's
I know a girl like that.
Yeah. It's
always
like complaining.
Always complaining.
Complaining.
Man.
Yeah.
Word to your mother.
Yeah.
Word to your mother. So that's what 3 out of 5 so far. Okay, rancorous. RANCOROUS.
RAN. You said rancorous.
Yeah.
That's like being like mean or like
deep
spiteful,
yeah.
rancorous, like speaking like rancorous.
Deep-seated resentment.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
So I basically got that right.
Man, you're going to get 5 for 5, man. You're going to go into the holiday 5 for 5. Okay, let's see. SAGACITY.
You said sag nasty?
Sag nasty in the house.
What was it again?
SAGACITY.
Sagacity. I'm trying to think if I've ever used it in the sentence. Give me 10 seconds. Give me 10 seconds.
We ain't got 10 seconds, man. You can't have 10 seconds of just quiet. Sagacity. You got 5.
I can't break it.
4. 3.
It's hard to break that one down.
The ability to understand and discriminate between relations. All right, next time, my brother.
Too loud,
no,
man.
it's not. It's not loud
man,
enough. Do it again, man. Hit it again. Yeah.
I need positive reinforcement, man. If you how many I get right, man?
You got 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5.
Pretty good. That's 80%.
To your mother.
Yeah.
All right. Good job.
Thank you.
That's not bad, man. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
I'm impressed.
So that's 80%. That's a B.
Did you hear what Ben Carson said about the $2 bill about Harriet Tubman?
What did he say? He said Harriet Tubman should be on a $2 bill.
He said she's being on a $2 bill.
Man, I used to really admire Ben. My mother gave me Ben Carson's book a long time ago. Mom, I didn't read it. Thank God. No, I'm playing. No, a long time ago. But when I was a kid, she gave me the book, and I actually really. It just shows that you can be smart in some areas and not dumb in other areas.
Call it book sense, common sense,
exactly.
Book sense.
It's like LeBron. He obviously is a fantastic basketball player, but you watch his tweets, he's not the best speller in the world.
Oh, really?
So you can do one thing really well, and in other areas be dumb. So Ben Carson, in regards to him being an intellectual,
that was a bad move, Ben.
And a doctor, he's top notch and an inspiration. Move. But as a political guy, not so much.
Yeah, I hope they give her a little smile though.
Hey, listen, we have less than a minute left. So listen, everybody going off into this holiday weekend. What I like to do on 4th of July, believe it or not, I'm a nerd in many respects. I'm a cool nerd, but I'm still a nerd.
All respects.
I love watching John Adams. I don't know if you've seen
Quincy Adams?
No, that's his son. John Adams is, I'm a big history buff, Woody knows this, but they have not a sitcom, but it's a dramatic series on HBO. It's a series on former President John Adams, who was the second president of the United States.
What network is this on?
It's on HBO.
Okay.
You ought to be able to do it. But go watch John Adams, and they usually play it in its entirety
have some barbecue
on the 4th of July while you eating barbecue. I don't eat red meat.
I'm having a barbecue, man.
You invited me over. Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
But
Chicken.
anyway, everyone, thank you for deciding to start your weekend with me. and Woody.
Yes.
And thank you for tuning in
Mac and
for another
cheese.
edition of Folks with Ron
Beans.
Frierson. Have a great, safe holiday weekend,
Yeah.
and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Barbecue chicken, potato chips, corn on the cob. Happy 4th of July.
I didn't throw Jarvis' name in.